My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. Welcome, amazing Friday. So happy to be here today. Got a lot going on this weekend. Got a lot going on today, man. Coming in, I was rocking out to the tunes. The last song I listened to was We're Not Gonna Take It. And even Jay was making fun of me because apparently I was loud even though I was in the car with all the windows up. How about it, Jay? Was I a sight?
Joe, I haven't seen anyone that amped up on a Friday since, I don't even know. Joe was air drumming in his car this morning. And I had a tripod in my hand, so I stood on the outside of his car, and he didn't see me, but I was playing the air guitar on my tripod. And when he realized that he was not alone in his jam out session, things got a little weird.
So. Thankfully, it was the end of the song, so
right, yeah.
The song was over. See what Jay doesn't see is I do that probably 3-4 days a week, but he usually beats me here. I was a little earlier than normal today, and so he got to see me visualizing, getting the energy up, and really tearing it up. And I was glad I did. Because I came in and thought I was going to have all this time to get 18 things done, and the phone calls started to pour in. So it's good, though. It's good to have something like that because that means we're doing something right. You know, I meant to tell Jay the other day I went to get doing this fitness thing, and she took my blood, and the lady who was taking my blood was a fan of the show. And I didn't know her. And I don't think I know people who know her. I mean, somebody must have turned her on to us, so appreciated that. Look, we got a great show for you today. Like I said, we got a lot of stuff going on, so I don't want to take too much time. Today we're going to talk about the Tooth Fairy. We have a special event going on in Clermont today. We're going to talk about lights and ladders. I think Jay just brought that up. It's at Sky Zone Clermont. This is a great community event. We're going to talk about that when we get back. On the Cup of Joe today, we've been talking about some cool things all week. I'm going to talk about perspective today. So we're going to get a little bit of perspective. And finally, I am joined by an amazing young lady. This woman has been very active in the chamber. I've watched her for a couple of years now. She has been steady and hardworking. She's opened up an office here in Clermont, and I'm really glad I got her on today. And Daniela Martinez is with Edward Jones. She's a financial, I want to get it right because I always mess these up. She is the head financial advisor for her office here in Clermont. She opened up just recently, close to downtown. And just off of 50. And I'm so glad to have her here because with the stock market going crazy, she's going to be able to talk to us about our 401k plans, our IRAs. Should we be worried? Should we be staying in, getting out of the stock market? What this all means. So it timed perfectly. I got her here and the market's going crazy. So when we get back, we're going to hear from our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to get started. See you in a minute. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Are you tired of having drugs or alcohol ruin your life? Do you need to get off pain pills but still maintain pain relief? My office in Tavares has programs to help you. While not covered by insurance, program fees are affordable. My name is Alan Zupkin. I'm board certified and have helped thousands of patients achieve these goals. Please call me for further information.
Welcome to Erica's Tea Room. Located in the heart of downtown Clermont, this specialty tea shop offers a traditional high tea experience that can be enjoyed with family and friends. While here, you can choose from over 100 teas from all over the world, and a multitude of teapots are available for purchase. Join us for lunch or choose from one of our special evening events. Call to make a reservation. Erica's Tea Room, making memories with every cup.
I love our commercial breaks, especially when we've come in and we're charged up. Okay, today is National Tooth Fairy Day. And I'm laughing at this because I asked Jay on the break because I wanted to have perspective. I'm from New England. We had the Tooth Fairy. It's National Tooth Fairy Day. The idea of the Tooth Fairy obviously is your kid, you lose a tooth, you put it under your pillow, and the Tooth Fairy comes and takes the tooth and leaves you some money. When I was a kid, it was a quarter. Okay, but a quarter would buy like a whole comic book. Heck, if you bought the right comic books, it might get you two. And that's back when comic books were like good and thick and not thin and super artistic. So I asked Jay, what's the going rate? Because my kids, who are all grown now, used to get $1. I'm thinking, is it up to $5 yet? And he looks at me and says, here in Florida, you didn't have a tooth fairy. They had a pack rat. What? Tell us about the pack rat, Jay.
So we didn't have a tooth fairy. We had the pack rat. So I would put my tooth under the pillow, and the pack rat would bring me something. Not all the time it was money. It was sometimes a toy or a gift. Or, I think one time I got a Q-tip,
so it's not necessarily always something cool, you know.
No. Most
of the time, you wouldn't be encouraged to take a tooth out of your mouth because you might get a piece of string.
I was terrified to wake up the next day to see what was under my pillow. But
well, it is not National Pack Rat Day. It's National Tooth Fairy Day. But I love hearing that. Maybe we should have. You know what, Jay? I'm going to call the National Day people. We are going to get a National Pack Rat Day. Because it's an alternative to the Tooth Fairy, and we have to be gender inclusive. Okay, we're going to move on to thing number 2. And that's going to be lights and ladders. I know it seems like a pregnant pause. I did that on purpose. It's going to be lights and ladders is a cool event. Jay is going to bring this up. I'll talk about this while it's on the screen. The net proceeds go to benefit the Wounded Officers Initiative. Look, I am all down with our law enforcement. And while they do have insurance and some stuff, like many times, health care doesn't cover everybody's costs when they get sick. An officer gets injured, especially when he's injured on the job, not always shot, but they get in car accidents all the time and that sort of thing. Officer is injured, he's not always covered. In this case, I think this benefits the Wounded Officers Initiative. This is specifically for officers who are wounded in the line of duty. I was just watching one of those commercials for Tunnel to Towers this morning, and a couple of these ads take place with Florida officers who passed away. I can't even imagine what it's like for a family to watch dad or mom go out to work every day without the idea that they might not come home that night. So great organization. Lights and Ladders, as usual, Clermont PD and Clermont Fire Department putting on an amazing event. Jay, I can't read that. Can you read some of that stuff for me?
Yes, sir. We got there will be free Sky Zone jump sessions for ages 5 to 15, free rides and bounce houses, free outdoor activities, static displays from the Clermont Police Department and the Fire Department, thousands of free food servings and samplings from a variety of local restaurants, a live DJ, dozens of local vendors, and a whole lot more. And again, all net proceeds from the event benefit the Wounded Officers Initiative. Great event. This was originally scheduled for, I believe it was actually scheduled for either the beginning of this month or last month, and some things changed and it got the date changed. So we were going to try to cover this live, but some scheduling conflicts have kept us from being able to do that. But we wanted to promote it. A great event at a great place. It's going to be jam-packed. And even if you've driven down South Highway 27 in front of the Family Christian Center, you've probably seen the sign that says expect delays. So it's probably going to be a very, very packed event. I believe it's from, let me double check this just to make sure.
Yeah, it starts at 5.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
From 5 to 9, so you might want to get there a little bit early if you can. But it's going to be a great event, and we're always there to help promote and support the things that CPD and the fire department are doing as well.
And there are food and drink samplings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is a true free event, but look, don't go and just mooch. Okay, bring some money. Bring $5-10 to donate. I'm sure they'll have some sort of bucket or boot or something like that to put your donations into. It's a good time to bring your family out to a family-friendly event. Obviously safe. It's going to be covered with police and fire. I'm sure the Lake County will be represented. Lake County sheriffs will be represented, as well as several of the surrounding. I don't not see Mineola or Mascot here, although we tend to give, because it's in Clermont, we're giving Clermont PD all the credit. You know, these guys work, and they work really hard. They protect us. They do jobs I don't want to do. Go out and support them. And actually, I have to apologize because this came up on me. I should have been more on top of this, so we could have promoted this a little bit better. But you know, we're doing what we can. So I just want to say to the officers, thanks for doing what you do. And we hope that this is great. And we pray you never need the benefits of this fund. So thanks a lot for that. All right. Cup of Joe, perspective. We're going to talk about perspective. Jay, would you bring that thing up that I asked you to a little bit earlier? What you are seeing here is, I saw this on the news 2 days in a row now, and I think this is cool. A record-breaking explosion by a black hole has been identified by NASA and astronomers. And the thing that I think is cool about this is actually in a neighboring, I don't think it's a galaxy. It's something else. It's the next thing up. Okay, it's a quadrant of space, some sort of a gas giant. This explosion was so big, it displaced so much material in this gas cloud in space that you could put 15 Milky Ways in it. Think about that. There's like 1 billion suns in the Milky Way, and this could fit. This space made by an explosion could fit 15 of them. You know, I wanted to start with this because so often we get so caught up in the coronavirus and the stock market and the election, and you're small, but you're not insignificant. But you need to make some perspective. We get caught up so much sometimes in the world going on around us that we completely miss what's important. And what's important is the lives you touch, is the people around you. You hear me at the end of every show encourage you to use your greatness to touch other lives and change the world. And that is what's important. You know, I was sharing with some guys yesterday that I had a revelation once that I felt God had given me, was that God's blessings, my family, the fact that I went from a bad dad to a good dad, from a bad husband to a good husband, that I started working really hard at being a good friend, a good employee, that all of those blessings were for me, but they weren't about me. The fact that I have some insight and some wisdom is for me, but it's not about me. It's about the people I can touch. And that's the perspective I want you to take. It's easy to focus on the problems America has and the things we do wrong. But in reality, you live in the best place in the entire world, in the entire history of mankind. At no other time in the history of the world has somebody been able to change their circumstances for the better, to go beyond what their parents did, to set the stage for their children to go beyond what they have done. We have a lot of problems in the country and our culture, but we don't need to focus on them. So I want to encourage you today, as the weekend comes, step back for a second and understand you're one guy on one planet, in one solar system, in one galaxy, in a great and massive universe. You can't be worried about all of that. What you got to worry about is the next life that you'll touch. Make sure it's a touch for good, a positive touch and not a negative one. And that's it for the Cup of Joe today. Thanks. Next, we have Daniela Martinez, my dear, dear friend. When we come back, she's going to be joining us. You need to stay tuned for this. The stock market is freaking out a little bit. She's going to give us some real insight to it. Where's it going? Is it going to stay like this? Is it the beginning of a general slump? All this information she's going to give us, and we'll see her when we get back. See you in a minute. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Check out these gourmet deals from Burger Clermont, like our daily deals. Milkshake specials. Kids eat free. That's right, kids 10 and under eat free every Monday with purchase of an adult combo. Choose from delicious protein combos like beef, chicken, lamb, fish, veggie, and even the Impossible Burger. Shakes are buy one get one free Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Stop into Burger Clermont today to take advantage of our daily deals, like the Monday Crispy Chicken Combo, the Tuesday Falafel Combo, the Wednesday Angus Beef Combo, and the Thursday Spanish Beef Combo. Gourmet deals from Burger Clermont, located just off Highway 27 and the Epic Theater Shopping Plaza. Burger millions of possibilities, endless combinations.
Saturday, February 29th at 7 p.m. Groveland, Florida. Get ready as local pro wrestling comes to the Purrier Building. 6 matches featuring the British chap, D-Wayne, The Upgrade, Mike Reed, Bruce Worley, Joshua Dawkins, Dion James, and making their LPW debut, the Heartbreak Express. Tickets on sale now on Eventbrite. Like our page on Facebook for more info.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. And welcome back. I am so glad to have my friend Daniela Martinez. Daniela, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have touched you. Zombie virus.
Oh, goodness. No. Yes, no.
Daniela, I'm going to go through Daniela's bona fides here. For a young lady, she has a lot of them. Daniela Martinez is the financial advisor for the local Edward Jones office near downtown. Are you the downtown office? Are you considered downtown?
Almost. There's no one really in downtown, but I'm the closest one.
You're the closest. We're going to call you downtown. Yeah. Joe has declared it right there. She has a Series 7 and a Series 66 license. She has a bachelor's degree in finance and global management from the Florida Institute of Technology. She is the diversity the diversity leader for Edward Jones. She sits on the Jerk Fest committee for the Caribbean American Association of Lake County.
Got it.
But I had to go through it with Stuart the other day about a half dozen times before I got it right. I can't even pronounce the shortened one. He does.
Calc.
It just sounds weird when I say it. And she is a member of the Women's Club of Clermont. The Women's Club of Clermont, and moving up in that organization. The other thing that I didn't mention is Danielle is a very active member of the Chamber of Commerce. She's at more events than she used to be because she used to work up in Leesburg.
That is true.
But even when she was in Leesburg, she was at an awful lot of events for somebody that worked 45 minutes away. It had to be hard to make that travel and to get to those events. But I think it said something about your dedication. And when somebody's dedicated to an organization to help improve their community, I think it says a lot about their business. Tell us a little bit about How did you become a financial? Have you always been interested in money? Have you always been good with money?
Well,
When did you get an interest in doing this for people?
truly, I think I was brainwashed when I was 6 years old. I'll tell you the backup story of this really quick. My father used to teach finances as a professor for MBA students in Chile.
Oh, no.
And he would take me. And I was 6. So it started all there.
So you'd sit in the corner and listen to him teach.
I was the class pet, essentially. Yeah. Well, I guess that's where it started. But truly, I've been in the entrepreneurship club since high school. Then I did my finance degree. Continued to be involved in that.
So you said that was in Chile.
Yes.
Are your parents from Chile?
No,
They just teach there?
So let's back up some more before that country. I'm originally from Honduras.
Okay.
My mom is from Cuba, born there, but they did move to Honduras. So my father is Honduran too. In the midst of growing and my parents growing their careers, we moved to Chile. Mm-hmm. She specialized in medicine over there, nuclear medicine. No, she doesn't blow up anything. No.
Yeah.
And then we moved back to Honduras. Matter of fact, my siblings were born in Chile. Moved back to Honduras, then we moved to Miami.
Now, how old were you when that transition?
In Miami, I was almost 13. A couple months from 13 years old.
Did you speak English at that time?
I did. Yes, all of us did.
Still must have been a crazy transition.
It was ridiculously crazy. You think that going from Hispanic country to Hispanic culture in Miami, it'd be very similar? Not at all. I hated my first week. It was a big transition.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Because it's the difference, I think, is it's not a Hispanic country. It's a Hispanic culture in a completely separate country with a separate culture.
Exactly.
Right?
So people speak Spanish. If you don't know Spanish in Miami, you might as well start learning it.
Right.
But the culture is that, and then the systems are American from the U.S.
Right.
The school system was completely different. So that's what struck me the most.
So as a kid, that must have, you had this background in finance with your dad. Did he continue to do that when he was here?
So yeah, he's still an entrepreneur. He had his own business back then, still does now, opened a couple more back in Honduras. But I always looked at that and I saw truly how people who were living the same life that you see through your eyes did not really have the same finances in their pocket. So some were up to the same lifestyle, but not the same means in their pocket. So where are they taking those resources from? Credit cards, loans, and so on.
So did you see a difference in things like confidence and peace? I mean, it sounds like your dad and mom are very wise people, probably very hardworking. They save a lot. They're not spending everything that they earn. Did you see a difference in? I mean, I'm sure. Also, once you got to college, you got to see some more perspective on this.
Yes.
Right. Kids that would spend like it was going out of style because mom and dad were writing the check.
Right.
Whereas you would learn to save.
Right.
I'm sure you put yourself through school to a large degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So my parents did put me through school. Definitely, they had the means to be able to do that, which is super grateful.
Let me guess. You didn't have any European trips finding yourself during the summer, right?
No, not truly. I worked the summers.
I was going to say, Dad expects you to come home and work or work where you were?
So I worked in college. I was lucky enough I applied for the positions in school. So I didn't have a car in college. So I had to find something right there I could walk to, right?
Yep.
But I worked in the business and retail department. Great bosses I had there. But yeah, I paid for everything that was my room and board. I paid it myself, but my parents did pay my tuition, which was fantastic. So
did that end up changing your perspective? I mean, is that where you really started to get hooked on maybe you could do this for a living? Was in college working with business and finance?
I'd say it was in high school, truly. Because even in high school, I was part of the business academy. A lot of high schools have that academy programs. I was in that one, and I was in the entrepreneurship club, started my own little business then. I was selling jewelry I used to make. And then as I moved into college, I still liked business, so I kept going with that. And pursued from there, joined the investment club there. So
I want to back up for
stocks.
a second. Sold jewelry you made in high school.
I used to make jewelry in high school.
But that's a big jump for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In today's culture, particularly, you talked about culture. Mm-hmm. In today's culture, so many people don't encourage their kids to do something that makes them independent.
And truly, I think my parents did want to make me independent, but I didn't want to be dependent to begin with.
But that comes from your parents too.
I
the
didn't
idea
have
that you're
last
expected
money.
to be
Yes.
independent, right?
I was able to, if I needed something, buy it out of my own. They wouldn't have to say, no, not this time. I spent it wisely all the time because I was always saving anyway. My father had a savings account from us since we were little kids in elementary. And he would show us compounded interest on that. When interest rates were good at banks,
Mm-hmm.
you were earning more than a 1%.
Yeah, well, that was back in the day, right?
I know. So we saw how even though money wasn't being added, it would still grow.
So you're an investment advisor now, and I'm sure you deal with people who have been saving and working. Right. Do you see a difference? Do you get people who come to you with nothing and say, "Where do I start?"
Yes, all the time. Yes, and I love that because a lot of the things I do when I teach people at that moment are not taught throughout school, and they should be. Like, hey, how to file your taxes, kind of thing. At least the basics. You can have a CPA file it for you, of course.
Preach
how
it,
to
sister.
do a budget.
I tell people, I think that those are classes that should be, it's funny that there are some general survival classes that should be taught in high school and college. Even college kids aren't taught this anymore. Barely. Sometimes they might have a life skills class. They might spend a week, on balancing a checkbook and opening an account.
The complete opposite happens in college too. You take out a loan, depending on what you're studying, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, but you have no income. So how do they even expect you to pay that back? So you go from not even knowing how to budget properly for the little you have to accumulating this enormous loan.
It's funny, and you, I think, are proof of this. And your dad saved, but, Dad paid tuition, but you were paying for other things.
Yeah.
My kids I put 6 kids through college. Okay.
Props to you.
And
that's not easy.
Oh, it gets better. There's a grand total across all 6 of less than $100,000 in debt.
Even
spread out among them and me and Miss Pat. And it's paid, a bunch of it has been paid down, right? But the kids had to work hard. They didn't finance all 4 years.
Okay.
Right? They got scholarships, they got jobs, they found discounts. My kids were amazing in the way they could find discounts on books, becoming wheeler dealers, right? Right. So you get out of college, you have an interest in this business. Mm-hmm. Why Edward Jones? Why not banking in New York City?
And I actually thought about that. I thought about going to Wall Street, being the New York Stock Exchange at some point. Then I heard some feedback from other friends and colleagues, and I heard how stressful and hectic that can be.
Yeah, it can be a dirty business.
Life, how life just goes down the drain, really. And I figured that's not what I want to do.
It's very cutthroat. Too.
Yeah. I want to help people, real life, day to day, not, placing a trade, put options on all these things.
So why Edward Jones?
So it sounded too good to be true, truly.
Yeah.
So you read Edward Jones' systems and you're like, oh, what a sense of culture. It's a family oriented. Like, nah, it can't too good to be true, but I'm going to apply anyway. And truly, Joe, when I was in college, my last semester, it's a final countdown. You're about to leave college. You need a serious job to pay your bills, okay? The part-time doesn't cut it
Those
anymore.
free loans I took out are going to come due.
Yeah. So those part-times don't cut it anymore. So I applied at many firms. But Edward Jones struck me differently. Even their interview process is different. They don't just sit down with you, okay, what do you have to offer, and back and forth, right? They put me through a phone interview with someone in home office. I had to go meet an advisor locally when I was in college. There's a day in the life of a financial advisor. So you basically play the role for about 4 hours as if you're a financial advisor, and they hire actors to call you on the phone as if they're clients or prospects and so on.
No kidding. That sounds like a really cool process.
And you have to come up with a business plan. So it's a serious partnership that they have. And they're so family oriented.
So does that play on into, that's great for you. Mm-hmm. You own the business and well, you don't technically own the business, but you run the office, you own the office, and mm-hmm. There's a market you share with other Edward Jones advisors.
Right.
That's great for you, but how does that play out for your clients? Is it the same? Is it a turn and burn? Are you always trying to get someone to buy the next investment? Tell us how that works.
So when I first meet with my clients, we go through a 5-step process. We first try to figure out what's going on currently. Do you have debt? Do you have savings? Do you have retirement savings? Have property, real estate, and so on. And then we move towards, hey, what should we be looking? What is your first goal? Is it savings or retirement, and so on? Then we do the reality check. Okay, reality
What's
check.
this going to cost, right?
Not really. Reality check is if someone comes and say, I want to retire in 5 years, but there's no means to retire in 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
What are you going to do between now and then, right?
Yep. And then we start talking about investment and accounts that could be beneficial for them, tax-wise, and also something that can give them more growth and have their money work for them too.
Do you know, I love the idea of the reality check. I was talking to somebody yesterday locally, and she was a business and life coach. And she talked about how sometimes people want to get somewhere and they need to accept they might have to hire or fire somebody.
True.
Right? So that you got to put the resources in place. Do you ever run into somebody and say, well, if you want to do that, you're going to have to do something else or make X amount more dollars? You know, your business needs to make more money for you to accomplish that?
Yes, it happens because we run the retirement plan and then it's like, oh, I want to stop working at 65. Like, no, it looks like you're going to need a part-time. Okay, you're gonna have to continue doing that.
Look, when we come back, we're gonna hear from our sponsors. When we come back, we're gonna talk to Daniela about the current situation in the market, maybe some of the things that have influenced it, and what we can do to either take advantage or protect ourselves from it. We'll see you in a minute. Don't go away. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Life is better when you're smiling. At Modern Orthodontics, Dr. Alan Wong has changed thousands of lives helping patients achieve the modern smile with braces and clear aligners. Utilizing digital scanning technology, Modern Orthodontics creates in-office 3D models for clearly modern aligners. Modern Orthodontics is conveniently located in Clermont, Apopka, and Bushnell. Call or text us to schedule your free exam and create your modern smile today.
50 West, pre-leasing now in Clermont. A first-of-its-kind commercial development in the Southeast. Contact us today to reserve your spot in this historic development. 50 West, unique, quality, Class A. For more information on leasing, contact Ashley Punn at 407-403-4165. Karen Arlano at 407-948-0767. Or visit lease@50west.com.
Your CBD store Clermont provides a wide range of high-quality, full and broad-spectrum CBD products. Topical creams, tinctures, water solubles, edibles, and even CBD products for your pets. From soil to oil, your CBD store Clermont sources and provides third-party lab tests for all products so that you know exactly what you're getting. Stop by your CBD store Clermont today to speak with one of our knowledgeable staff members to find the right CBD product for you.
My name is Michael Singh, Agency Principal of Singh Insurance and Financial Services. We offer auto insurance, home insurance, and life insurance. Our office number is 352-432-1646, and you can also check us out on our website at www.singhinsurancegroup.com.
Burgerum, located in the Epic Theater shopping plaza on Highway 27, is the premier destination for gourmet burgers. Using only the freshest ingredients, Burgerum offers a variety of burgers, salads, wings, and a whole lot more. Beef, chicken, lamb, fish, and even veggie. Burgerum has something for everyone, no matter your dietary preference. Burgerum, millions of possibilities, endless combinations.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. Welcome back. I think I just whispered into the microphone I wasn't supposed to be. Having a great day. Just had a great conversation with Daniela, who is still with us. Daniela Martinez. You didn't run away. Must not be too bad then, right? Daniela is the head financial advisor for the downtown Clermont Edward Jones office. I told you I'm going to declare it. It'll just be there now. I really loved her beginning story, how you come here immigrants come here many times without the entitlement mentality that Americans have. And so, obviously you saw in your mom and dad working really, really hard. It's portrayed into your life. Yeah. You work really, really hard. And part of that is education. True. And so I'm sure that you didn't stop learning the day you left college. I'm sure you're up on this. No. So, Daniela, you got to help us out. The stock market is free. It looked last week, it looked like it would never end. I know. Right?
And they seem longer when these things happen.
Right. And I've got to want to, I have theories, from what my own historical perspective, but I don't know anything about really stocks and the markets and stuff. Right. Is this something we should worry about?
Yeah, so there's a few things going on in the market right now. One is a presidential year, right? Presidential elections are going on this year. And then we have the coronavirus show up. So that's great. But it's interesting. A few years back, like in 2003, there was another thing going on. It was SARS, S-A-R-S.
Yeah. And they compare this coronavirus thing to that. Yeah.
And there was volatility in the market. But then if you look at the end of the year report, what truly happened from January to December, it just went down 3%.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a few things that go back with that. Every year, and some of us don't notice it unless there's something big news related behind it. There's about 3 to 5 corrections every year. What does that mean? The market moves downwards about 10%, 3 to 5 times a year. Sometimes we don't notice it, but if there's something headlining the news, then we can kind of connect it too.
Now, I saw something on the news today that said that this is because of the loss from yesterday, this now qualifies as an official correction, which had been overdue for a long time.
Yes. So that is true. We've been due for a correction. They have to happen at least 3 times a year. It's just part of the cycle. The market does go up if you see from, 1980s, 1970s until now. It's an upward movement.
It's funny because I was looking at this, and it is a little concerning, especially if your whole 401k or your whole IRA is in the stock market. You look at this and you go, oh my gosh. And, if the U.S. usually has a tank, the global markets follow it, right? Because they're not as solid as we are, just in general, right? Yeah. I was talking about perspective earlier. 3 years ago, the market was at what, 16,000, 17,000. We are.
And we're in the 2000s.
People talk about, it dropped 1,000 points. It's like, yeah, but this isn't like in 2008 when the market was at, you drop 1,000 points and the market was at 11,000.
Right, it was 40% down. Yes.
As opposed to now.
Yeah, and it was 40%
that's right.
For the year. Not for a week.
So is this an opportunity? Should we be worried about moving our money to protect ourselves?
So
what's the smart play?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it's all about perspective. So is it a good opportunity? Yes. But it depends on what. You need to be buying quality investments and making sure you're diversifying your portfolio. Make sure you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Why? Because having international investments is good, but you don't want everything out there. Kind of like what you said earlier. Even though it seems like the U.S. has a volatile economy right now, it's one of the most consistent ones worldwide.
Right.
So make sure you have your portfolio aligned to be, one, how much risk you like to take as a person, personality-wise, based on the age and when you're saving for, and make sure the diversification is not just 2 stocks that you own, basically. Make sure there's more than that in there. Right. A little bit of, bonds, CDs, which I know the rates are not that great right now. Keep some in savings too. But you also don't want to miss out on buying some good quality investments that have dropped in price.
Do you know? Yeah. And so many of us are in a situation. My wife's a typical teacher, right? And she gets to pick where her thing is laid out, and so, there is a temptation to say, well, the market's in a great time, should we shift everything into stocks because this is a good time, because the market's on the way down. Should we shift everything into stocks and ride the next wave, or should we keep some things separated out into bunch? Should we be in international markets and U.S. market? What's the general mix? And again, it's going to depend on if we have a high tolerance for risk,
right?
How do you determine that? Whether it drives you crazy or not? Is that how you determine that?
Well, that's one of the things. So we try to figure out, what would you do if your portfolio goes down 25%? Would you cash out? Would you change the investments? Would you leave it as is? Or would you consider invest more and see it as an opportunity? You have to look at the things you're buying. Are they good quality? Then if so, double check with me if you want. Use me as a resource, please. I have the analysis teams going on. Call me, hey, does this investment look fine? And then you can go ahead and place that
trade. So let me ask you this. This is a couple of crazy news cycles, and obviously if a war breaks out in the Middle East, that affects the markets because the oil goes up and down. Anything that affects the housing market, and I've waxed poetic on that on this show time and time again about what I feel the influences are and some of the protections, and people start freaking out sooner or later. We talked about the presidential thing. Tracking this back 100 years, presidential election, the market's going to stall because nobody knows what the next guy's going to do.
And most of the time it does well anyway, regardless of what political party goes into there. And then there's also Congress, what political party that one takes.
Actually, Congress, people don't realize this. I don't know if it works for the markets, but I know in the real estate market, people follow the presidential election to determine the housing market. What they should look at is who controls Congress. Because Congress is the one that is usually the ones putting their fingers in the pie that messes it up, right? Solutions, and you got to see that in the markets as well, too. Let me ask you this. I wanted to ask you another question because you're a financial advisor, and people might think you're a little biased, but you're well educated and you're a pro in this area. What do you think about people who are doing day trading? I'm always nervous when a guy says to me, do some day trading and you should do this. And
it's very stressful.
It is stressful.
Yes, and statistically, the person who does their own trades, this doesn't go for anyone, but statistically, nationwide, they earn just about 3% a year if you're doing your own things because emotions are attached to it. It's your money. Yes, you're looking at some analysis, but you're not making analytical decisions at the end of the day because it's what you've worked for and it's sitting right in front of you and it's moving day to day.
And you have the ability to do it by a click of a mouse, right?
Literally, yes.
What do you advise people? Because I tend to find people say, oh, well, I know this guy and he makes, $80,000 a year sitting in his house just clicking on the thing. It's like, well, what's that guy's background? Does he have an MBA in finance? Right? And
maybe he used to be an advisor for all you know.
Is he playing with the $1 million his dad left him? He could lose 25% of it and not go without a meal.
It's his perspective.
It's perspective, right? What do you recommend to people? When they come to you with that stuff, say, well, I'm going to trust you with this much, but I'm going to day trade over here.
So I always ask, is that your fun money? Is that money that retirement does not depend on for you? That if you lose that and it goes down to zero, you can still breathe and sleep at the end of the day. With not some pills and things on the side, right?
If you need medication to sleep, you should probably call Daniela about your finances. I love that. You should put that on an ad. Do you need medication to go to sleep at night? Call me about your retirement. You can make it work. We just got to get creative about it. Let me ask you this. Okay, so we've talked about the markets. And so I guess the prevailing wisdom, at least that comes from you, is if we're in the market now, we got an IRA, we should just let it ride because this is really a temporary correction.
Right.
And over the course of time, it's just going to come back anyways.
Right. Just make sure you don't have... so I don't know if it'll be censored, but marijuana stocks and all those things, are more volatile. So make sure you have really good quality investments that have been going on for decades.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Not a fashion trend that's going on at the moment.
Do you know, it's hard to get people to understand. I knew people when the market tanked in 2008 that, it had come to the place where it had hit bottom And there were people still selling off. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. Oh, well, I got to protect my money. Well, dude, you already lost 40%. Right. You got nothing to lose. Right. Oh, but they're going to take it out and do these other things and then lost more money, you know, and then they're mad.
Yeah, so remember when those drops happen, it's a change in value of those shares that you have. Once you sell it, then you have taken the loss officially. Right. It will record it for tax purposes.
The Dow Jones isn't going anywhere.
No, it didn't go anywhere in 2008 either. It's still around, right? And you look at it back then, things that went down 43%, 38%, they jumped back up the year after. 37s, 40% back up.
Do you know what I've seen too is, this is of course you hear the bad news. The sky is falling every time the market takes like a single day drop.
Put everything in gold, right?
Yeah, right. Put everything in gold. Yeah, and take a reverse mortgage out too while you're at it.
Sure.
And what I tend to see is, there's going to come a point where the people who have the real investors, the guys with the money, that's going to come down to a point. They're going to drive it up because they're going to say, okay, now I'm in deal range. Let me get some more of this. Buying. Right. Yeah. They're going to start buying again, right? Because they can get some good deals.
And we can tell you, we tell our clients, hey, this is recommended to be bought right now because it's undervalued. It's being sold for too cheap.
So let's get to that. And we only have, what do we got, 5, Jay? Really quickly, I want to understand how you work. So you don't just put me in an IRA and it's like in the Dow Jones. It's if I have the resources, you can put me in a spot where if I have some extra money or if I have the means, that you can call me with a specific stock, buy something that. So how do you get paid?
Yeah, so I get paid. There's 2 ways I can get paid, and the client gets to choose that. So essentially, one is commission based, so like the upfront charge, and there's a 12B1 expense fee that goes on for the lifetime. And then there's the other program.
The lifetime of the investment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there's the other program, which is essentially a flat fee per year. It's about 1.35%, depends on which account you go into. And it's on the balance of the account, and that covers the transactions of buys and sells in there. That's really the main part of it. And the client
so if I have $100,000 invested with you, it's really only costing me, in that program, it's only costing me about $1,300, $1,500 a year?
Yep.
Okay, so it makes sense for some people, depending on it. And I would imagine you can advise which is probably the best for somebody.
Right, that's the whole idea. We don't put you in indexed things because that just follows the market. You wouldn't have a need for an advisor to be telling you yay from nay from which investments you like.
So tell us how Edward Jones works then. It's not, and that's what I wanted to get to. Mm-hmm. Is it just an indexed thing?
No.
Is it, again, we're back to set it and forget it? May not necessarily be the way to work for
No, so we'll handle stocks individually, mutual funds, bonds, bond funds, CDs. And I give you a call. Hey, it's a good time to buy it or time to get rid of it. You've made your profit. And it's not going to go up anymore.
Right.
Yep. So
let's get rid of it and put it in something
actively
else, right?
tracking what's going on in the portfolios. Yeah.
So how many customers do you have?
About 310.
Yeah, about 310 clients.
And that's households. Yeah.
Yeah, households, right?
Yes.
If people have a question, let me ask you this. What is the most important thing that you think people need to know? And I know we've talked about some stuff you brought with us, but we didn't get to talk about much.
One really quick thing regarding IRAs, required minimum distributions. If you haven't
he's able to pull that up on the screen.
Yeah, perfect.
Jay is on top of it.
Perfect. Thank you, Jay. So that one, bullet number 1, essentially required minimum distributions, RMDs. You used to have to take it when you're 70 and a half. If you haven't turned that age yet, now you can prolong it until 72. So you have more time.
So if I'm 69, I can leave it in there for another couple of years.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have to take that. Next one is the removal of the stretch IRA. And that's essentially when you inherited an IRA from a non-spouse in most circumstances. You would be able to take that RMD out in the next 10 years.
What's RMD again?
Required minimum distribution. Okay. Yeah. So now that no longer happens. You have to take it. Okay. It is what it is.
3?
Number 3, we got repeal of maximum age for traditional IRA contributions. What that means is you used to be able to only contribute until you were 70 and a half. Now you can keep contributing to your IRA as long as you have earned income. Yep. Then we have
So if I have a job and
you're 71,
okay,
and you have extra money to put away, still for your retirement, you can still do that.
Can I do that till I'm 75, even though it makes me take it out at 72 and a half?
Yes.
Okay, so I can keep, even though I'm pulling out,
Even
I
though
can
you're
start
pulling
putting.
Sounds kind of backwards, but yes, as long as you have earned
makes
income.
sense. Makes sense. Good change.
Yep.
What about number 4?
Number 4 is about education savings. It's a 529 account. You're able to use those funds now to pay up to $10,000 in student loans for repayment, and you can also use it for apprenticeships.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Great.
And then we have the last one, 5th one, tax credits for business retirement plans. The tax credit used to be $500. Now it's up to $5,000.
Wow.
So those are good things.
So when I get a tax credit for up to $5,000, explain it.
Yeah.
Is that an individual credit, or is it a credit for
That's
my
for
business?
the business.
So
the business.
If I'm self-employed or if I employ other people.
So if you're self-employed, you're the owner. So it's
Right.
you at the end of the day.
Okay.
But it's the business itself. Whatever is registered as a corporation, the LLC, that title.
And
that
they can
registration.
deduct up to $5,000 for tax thing. Wow. You know, Daniela, this has been great. A lot of information to process, and because there's a lot of information to process, I can't field these questions, everybody. I'm going to tell you right now. You want to know about real estate and the real estate market? I'm your boy, okay? But you want to know about investments, you can talk to Daniela. She does something a little differently than some of the other folks that do. You don't handle insurance or any of that.
I do.
You do, but it's
do.
not your thing. You're more into the.
It's still my thing too.
Is it?
Yeah, but most people look at me for retirement.
Right. Look, a lot of wealth of knowledge on the markets here, and I want you to look. This is your camera right there. I want you to look in there, and Jay's going to bring up your information. Tell people how to get in touch with you if they want to have a cup of coffee, or just have some general questions. They're thinking about They're thinking about starting a retirement fund or some sort of a fund.
Right. So our first meeting is a free consultation. Kind of going back to how I get paid. I don't get paid by meetings. I get paid by investment. Okay? So come on with your free consultations. I'm on 140 East Highland Avenue, near downtown, like you said.
Yeah.
A good reference point is by the Fish House. Okay? I should be getting paid for that too. Another good way to contact us is just send me an email, daniela.martinez@edwardjones.com, or just give us a call. Me and my branch partner, Elena, will be there to answer your questions, and she'll schedule you in. Yeah.
Do you know, and I would encourage you to, we have Daniela's information up here. Is that from her website, Jay? We have her information up here. Check out her website and her online presence. She's really, really good. The other thing, too, is she's done an amazing job. You go see her in her office. How old is that building?
That is a 1925 home.
This building is 1925, and I know it was somewhat dilapidated when she got involved with it. Did a really nice restoration, build out, turned it into her office. It's absolutely gorgeous. She took great care to not just modernize it, but to preserve the look and feel of the original building, which I appreciate as a real estate guy, because I see so many people just gut something and it's ugly on the inside.
Yeah. And it looks homey and cozy.
And it is. It looks homey and cozy and just has a nice feel. So get out there and talk to her about your retirement needs. It's actually a good time to talk about it because the market is down. There might be an opportunity
for you.
If you got some money put away and you've been thinking about putting it in the market, don't wait till it starts to come back up.
Right.
Buy it on the downward slide. That should be a no-brainer, right?
Buy low, so high. Right?
And although she didn't talk about it much because we did focus on our subject of the market, kind of like a public service announcement today, I know Daniela is very humble and very, very active in the community. She does an awful lot encouraging other young women and, being the diversity officer. She helps an awful lot of folks of color as well as not of color in business and how to build a business. She's quite successful for her young age.
That's what I keep hearing, yeah.
And I am sure that you are already a business leader, but I am sure that within the next 4 or 5 years, you will be one of the accepted giants in the area. So,
thank you.
I want to say thank you to Daniela. Thank you for being on the show. It's been great. Didn't talk about your husband much, but maybe
hey, he's a really nice guy.
I'm sure he is.
He loves playing soccer.
Would you be married to him if he wasn't? He gets the fun job, right?
Yeah, he does.
as Daniela is doing, using her greatness to bring out the greatness in others, that there's greatness inside of you. And you should be using your greatness to bring out the greatness in others. Touch a life, you'll touch the world. This has been Joe Carlisle and Daniela Martinez on Joe Knows South Lake here on South Lake TV. I want to say thank you for tuning in. I will see you on Monday, and I love you. Bye-bye. My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe Knows South Lake. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.